Sue Wilson is here, so Beth and I discussed, we're gonna give her a few minutes to chat, discuss, and then we'll go into our first item on the agenda, which is discussion regarding communications.
Hello, my name is Sue Wilson, and I live at 114 West Hillcrest Drive. I am just here tonight quickly to, obviously, we know that the situation of homelessness has gotten a lot of press lately. I'm kind of here to maybe describe the other side of homelessness. I've been working with kind of homelessness in the city, county for about 3.5, 4 years, really on a sense of Band-Aid mode. Like, how do we deal with situations? How do we we're constantly running kind of in the reactive zone, right? And every time we have a new issue, what do we do? How do we bandage it? How do we move on? And so I just wanted to come from my perspective that what homelessness looks like in Indianola, Iowa, Warren County, Iowa, and perhaps we're much different than where it looks like in the major metropolitan cities. Our homelessness looks like people that have 4-year college degrees. Our homelessness looks like people that gave up their career to be caregivers to their parents. When their parents passed, the siblings came in and sold their home and left that caregiver with not much. People that have had 3 or 4 different rounds of cancer that can't possibly pay their medical bills. It also looks like people that have never, ever missed a rent payment. And then a new person comes in to own the complex, takes rent from $450 to $1,150. And they're asked to leave, and that's no longer in their price range to pay for. So we also have a situation here in town that some residents of a major complex has been told that rent is going to go up again to up around the $900 a month for a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. So I did some outreach with Courtney Cooperman, who is out of Washington, D.C. She's with the National Low Income Housing Coalition. We broke it all the way down to the city of Indianola, and our people need to make $15.96 an hour in order to afford a 2-bedroom apartment here in Indianola. And that's at 30% cost burden, which means 30% of their paycheck is going to housing. So when we look at homelessness, we're not looking at these people like they're not educated, like they've made poor decisions their whole life. These are real people that have graduated from Indianola High School. Their kids have graduated from Indianola High School. They may have gone to Martinsville St. Mary's, but have been residents. Every time they buy something in our stores here, and yes, they sometimes do have spending money, right? They're tax-paying residents. And so we don't have a major mecca of homelessness here, but we certainly have a handful of people, and it's about to get more if we first, then myself and our crew at We Lift, we can get them jobs, we can get them employed, and then we can get them the services they really need. Homelessness, especially in our city, is really just a result of us not kind of having all our ducks in a row. And it's not anyone's fault. We've just come to that T intersection now where we need to start lining up all our resources. We need to start lining up ourselves, getting ourselves in positions to apply for grants to really help our city and our county rise up to the occasion to help these people. My ask tonight is that as a city, as a county, as whoever, that we start looking at homelessness and we see the person. We see the person, the people, and not the problem. Because I promise you, if we invest in the heart of people, you will learn their story, you will be invested in them, and they will change. And there's no better way to change behavior in all of us, right, than with a little bit of compassion and to hear their story and what they have to say. So I have an amazing group of people with me today who have walked all areas of life, who graduated locally, who have worked, who have college degrees, right? That we just need to now say as a group, let us invest in this as one of our social issues and see how we can continue to move forward in our housing first model, because after that, we can start to fill in. So thank you. I also want to say, obviously everyone knows about Delinsky Park, but there's a lot of people that were just instrumental in this whole thing. And there were city council members, Ben and Doug Byland. Our law enforcement has been incredible in all of this. Like the amount of thank yous that have to go out to these people. We had Mike Rosenberger at TRM Disposal come down and just help us with that. Pastor Jeff Rabe from Lighthouse Community Center, he's involved. I mean, we just have so many good people in the right places, in the right elected office, that I really think that we can start tackling this, and we need to start tackling it. So thank you. Thank you for serving. I know what it takes to serve. Thank you for being here. And thank you for all acknowledging them. And it is okay to talk to them. You can ask them how they are. They're okay. They're not dangerous people. And
we thank you for, I mean, we've been out here for 5 years, and I just thank you for, especially for the policemen who have been so good to us and helped us out the most by giving us extra time when we needed that time, or allowing themselves to talk to the homeowners or the owners of the property that we, have been on, to kind of give us that time and kind of be like, they're okay people, they will go, we just gotta ask them once, and so I thank you guys for sure, because if it weren't for you guys, really, then we wouldn't, and Sue, really, and helping hand, we didn't have these guys, I don't know where we would be. So probably in Des Moines, lost in the homelessness crew, but I doubt that, because I would never let myself go there. But thank you. Thank you guys very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. All right. Moving on to communications.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Happy night.
Yep, thank you.
Hi, Joby.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing me to have this experiment of trying to change our meetings a little bit by having our study session first, and hopefully it makes our regular meeting a little bit more efficient. And so the intent is to be completed by 6:45. We may end a little bit early because we anticipate this evening we'll have a lot of police officers coming to be here for the swearing in of our new chief, and it gives you the opportunity to have a little bit of meet and greet with them. And so that's the intent for tonight, but there is another item on this agenda, which is to review anything in the upcoming meeting so that it makes the regular meeting more efficient as well. With that said, I just returned from being away at a conference and being away on a vacation, so probably not the best week to start. But we'll see how it goes, and we'll play it by ear. That's all right. So since I started a little over 4 months ago, I've had many interactions with many of you, business owners, our city staff, to talk about communications in general, that we need to enhance our communications. And that's been said many times. That's not to say that we haven't done a great job, and the people who are in the positions now have done great work for us. It just means that maybe we need to take it to the next level, if you will. And so we'll jump through that. Communications means different things to different people. Obviously, there could be miscommunications, and we have that quite a bit, where we have perceptions or things aren't communicated all that well, and we have different ideas or gaps of understanding. And that happens all the time, no matter what form of communication we use. People see things differently. They read things differently. They read into things differently. And even our situation here, most recently, was a misinterpretation, right? Of visiting and wanting to help somebody, but not necessarily giving the permission to be in the park, right? A misunderstanding and a miscommunication. And so the more we can enhance our communication and the effectiveness of our communications, the better off we are. And that means by many modes. So the goal and objective at least as from what I've heard from other people, is really to enhance our participation in our activities and events. So we want to make sure that people know about what's coming up. They know what the local issues are. They have an understanding of how city processes work, because that can be very confusing when people don't know exactly what they should be doing or how to find the code or whatever. And then just finding solutions to problems, who to talk to. And of course, our desire is to create a town in which everyone who lives here, as well as everyone who visits, feels welcome, heard, included, and happy. Really, they're part of the solution. And that I don't know anyone who doesn't want to be in the loop, right? That's people want to be in the know. They want to know what's going on. And some things we can share, some things are premature and we can't share them, but people want to feel connected to the community that they live, and they want to know what's going on. That doesn't mean that they're actively here and participating and part of the audience tonight. Maybe they're going to watch it later on YouTube. Maybe they just rely on their neighbors. Maybe they rely and have trust in their elected leaders. But generally speaking, people want to know. And who do we want to reach out to? Well, we really want to reach out to everyone. But who is everyone? And so I pulled a little bit of demographics just so that we better understand, because I've heard many things from, well, people don't listen to that type of medium, meaning they don't get on the internet, or they don't, or they only want the newsletter or whatever. But we have a population of, this is according to the 2020 census, of 15,747, 6,014 households, with 2.39 people per household. And with that population, we are doing actually really well. We have 91.1% who have a computer and 83.3% that have broadband and internet services. So a large number of our residents do have the ability, whether they utilize it or not, they do have the ability to not only receive printed material, but to receive material over their phone or different communications. We have an educated demographic as well, with 95.8% being high school graduates and 30.9% having a bachelor's degree or greater. And then just our demographics there with our population breakdown, where you can see we definitely have a large workforce between 18 and 65 years of age at 59.1%. And actually pretty small in the number of children. Where I came from was 3.9% people per household. And so, and the percentage of children was much, much higher. So what are we doing currently? And this may not be everything, but I pulled together a group of those I knew in the city staff who were involved in their communications. And the best source of information is really our city website. And we try to get that as updated as we possibly can with all information. And we try to point everybody we can to our website. It's right now managed by 6 different people at various points in time, contributing and adding information to that website. Even more are trained. But quite honestly, if you're not in it every day and actually adding the content to it and you're fresh, you're kind of creating the content and you're really handing it off to someone else to put it on, because you just don't have that expertise. The challenge with a city website of any size city is being able to adequately find the information quickly, and to do so within 2 or 3 clicks and not too much deeper. The tendency is we want to provide so much information that it's so deep that you end up having to click 4, 5, 6, 7 times to be able to get to where you want to be. We also have several social media channels, 7 Facebook pages, 5 Twitter, 4 Instagram, 1 LinkedIn, who are managed by 9 different staff members based on the different departments that we have. And it's important, we can't just consolidate those. It's important that we have separate Facebook pages, because some people want to know what's going on politically, and other people only want to know what's an emergency, if there's a fire or something like that, and they don't want to deal with anything political. Or maybe I don't want to deal with anything in the recreation department. I don't want to have anything about that, but I want to know what's happening in the world of police, and my home is safe. And so people sign up for different pages for different reasons. And so that's why we have a variety. But having a consistent messaging and branding is more difficult when you have different people doing it with different pages. And yet not one person could ever try to do this all alone on their own. the city of Indianola has a fantastic magazine that we put out quarterly. That 44 to 48 page is really exceptionally well done, and it provides a ton of information to the population or our residents, and people love it. But it takes a tremendous amount of work to try to gather that information and try to extract that from all of you. I think the council takes turns on doing a council page once per quarter. The mayor does one, I do one. And it's really hard trying to pull information and put it together on a timeline to get it mailed out. We do surveys as needed. I think community development does more than probably anyone, maybe recreation as well. We do the videos of the meetings that we have so that people can watch them later or go back in time and see them. We have the message board on Jefferson Way, which provides different information of events coming up. Our community electronic update is done twice a month after council meetings that Jackie puts together, and just keeps the community informed about what's happening in our council meetings or upcoming events or any other kind of information we want to share. Of course, there's all the state required public notifications that we put in the newspaper and mailers and postings and press releases. I mean, we go, we definitely provide a ton of information with regard to ensuring that the public is notified whenever there's changes to laws or rates or anything. And then after our council meetings, I've been introduced to the world of radio, doing interviews from time to time, which are fun. And we have our newspapers doing interviews as well. So those are just some of the things. I know I've also been reached out to by Indianola Living, who's wanted us to participate and wanted us to be a contributor. We've had some concerns from a staff perspective on that, where we would have less control of what the content is in those publications. And there's lots of ads, and it may not be in harmony with what our community wants. So we're exploring that, we're looking at it, but we're a little less excited about participating in that, other than they do pull content from us from time to time on our upcoming events. So that's what's going on. And we have a lot of information going out. People can find it in different ways, but we have different things pointed in different directions. And what's hard is trying to bring unity to it all, the common brand and whatnot. So some of the challenges we're facing is really, number one, it's hard to get content. It really is pulling teeth, and Jackie has to pull my teeth more than anybody, I think, trying to get information to her just for that every other week electronic email. It's something that's important for all of us, but not urgent. We're all dealing with different things, and that leads us to the second thing: it's everybody's secondary responsibility. Everybody has a primary job that they're working on. Communication is secondary, even though it's important to communicate and get that information out. Oftentimes, because it is everybody's secondary responsibility, when it does become urgent, it has to be done right now, and there's no advanced planning, and we're trying to push a post out right away. We have limited funding. We don't have any kind of extra money set aside in the budget for enhancing our communications. So whatever we do, we have to figure out how to do it within either our existing budget, expand the budget, or add it into future years' budget. So we may need to stage things going forward. We definitely have limited office space, and where we can put somebody, that's another challenge if we try to coordinate and bring it all under one umbrella. And then another challenge is there's communications overload. People get inundated with email. If you've got a 1 or 2 or 3 kids in school, you're getting multiple emails a day, to the point where you probably you stop reading it, right? Until someone's screaming at you. And so being able to be concise and have brevity is also very important, but to do so in a way that we still have it on many channels. And then the last challenge that we have is that there's a perception that we are monitoring things 24/7. If I put a complaint on the city's Facebook page, I expect that our police department is going to respond to it right now, and we're not watching those, and we're certainly not watching non-city pages. We typically try to respond to some of the things that are coming up during business hours and whatnot, but it's not 911. It's not dispatch where they're responding because somebody posted something on Facebook. And so it's that perception, controlling that is another challenge. Some of the opportunities we have before us is we have a story to tell. Indianola is awesome. And oftentimes as I've come into this community, I've seen great things happen, like the passage of the school district bond. That's a tremendous percentage. That's fantastic. It really shows the community wants to invest in itself, and it shows the forward thinking and whatnot. So great things are happening in Indianola, but sometimes we get lost in the mire of it, right? Especially here in these meetings, and we have day-to-day issues that come at us that we really should be, more than anyone, the cheerleaders or champions of things that are coming forward. Nobody should speak higher of the city than all of us, and speak higher of the staff, and speak higher of the contractors that we have working on projects. It helps us to overcome some of the bad things when we can focus on the good. We obviously should be establishing a shared vision of what the city should, the direction that the city should go, and that really comes from you. You're the elected leaders, and so that's the commonality of coming together under a shared vision. We have community needs coming up. So, for example, the public safety building and the library. If we look at what the school district did with their communication, they were fantastic. I mean, they had so many meetings and people participating in their Yes committee, and they got the word out, and they hit the streets with it. What are we going to do when we start having these discussions with the public? And admittedly, we've been purposely quiet through the school district's vote, simply because we wanted them to be able to be on center stage and be the focus. But now that has passed, now it's our turn to take our projects forward and to share the need and to champion that need. And then lastly, we have great opportunities for regional collaboration. Great things are happening in Warren County and Simpson College and the school district and with IMU. We have something that we can share. I remember having a conversation with Stacy over at the National Balloon Classic, talking about her showcasing, the classic at the Iowa State Fair, but there really wasn't anybody from Indianola or Warren County there. And so she kind of carried that on her shoulders to really tout what's great about our region right here. Because if it's good for the county, it's good for us, and vice versa. We are one, we are us. And so how can we better collaborate all together? And obviously the benefits of enhancing our communications, establishes a communication strategy, enhances the customer experience, which is our residents, infuses a vision of the city, a more responsive government to its residents, and is always a great thing, and to its visitors and businesses, enhances community engagement, increases tourism, which is helping our tax dollars. If we look at an event that takes place in the county, those people are still staying here in the city, and they're eating in the city, and they're shopping in the city, and that's a great benefit. So there's economic development potential, there's better coordination all around. And lastly, it bridges the gap of what's being heard and helps connect in people's minds why and what is going on. So what have really come to the conclusion on, at least personally, but the purpose of bringing this to you tonight is to talk about what your vision is. How would you like us to I think each one of you in one way or another talk to me about trying to enhance our communication. How do we gain that strategic messaging and that consistent voice and that consistent branding? What I can tell you is, even though we have these different mediums and we can coordinate those things, they can't do it alone. The most effective cities that I've seen have had a communications coordinator or director position, but they've also had a liaison into every single department, and they've all had each other's back. Because if you're in the world of public relations with a city, you're in a mentally unstable position. People are attacking you. If they don't attack the city, then, and if they can't gain ground in attacking the city, they will attack you. the nature of politics, right? And so they need a support network to be able to help each other out, and having connection to other departments helps provide that constant feed of information. So the best cities that I've seen as far as best practices is a coordinated effort with a weekly meeting with different content coming from different directions, where posts are scheduled out and when they're going to hit at what times that are most effective. And you constantly flood the public with positive messages of really what's going on in the community and sharing your story. Because if you get in the mud and fight the battles, all you're going to do is get yourself bloodied and muddied. You know, you need to really share the positive message. And so what a coordinator person could not do is respond to private social media pages. We couldn't expect that. I know many of you do. And that's great. You're elected leaders. You know, if you want to get out and do those type of things, you're working with your constituents, but we can't monitor every page out there as a city staff, nor should we. And lastly, they just can't do it alone. With that, I'm going to turn it over to you and get your opinions.
So are you thinking there should be a single individual coordinator? Is that your vision? Is that what you're?
That is an option. If there's other options, other ideas, this is probably the forum to talk about it.
I think I said it before that we need somebody that actually handles all of the communication as the director, and then have support staff underneath up for it. And I've kind of always thought that, so.
Been that suggested a lot by several people in the community, you know, hoping that it would quell some of the misunderstandings and confusion and hope to unify us. But I guess my question would be, how, if you did something like that, how would it tie in? I mean, it's a separate, I'm not suggesting we combine it, but we've been talking about tourism, you know, and the tourism office and things like Stacy has brought up a couple of times that there's nothing to really promote in, you know, itself. So how would you see that tied in?
That's a really good question. And I really see that there's actually two separate needs. The city itself has its own needs to be able to share its story and to communicate on behalf of the city and represent the city to the other agencies and organizations. So having a person that can attend a weekly meeting or whatever with Warren County and economic development or with the school district, that would be a great connection point that we don't currently have. But I know that there has been talk about the amount of money that we do contribute to the overall Des Moines metro area with the funding that we get from our hotel and you know, transit taxes and whatnot. Can some of that money stay? And that's the approach that some of the business owners really have looked at. And we have, of course, the chamber, and we have the downtown commercial district. And so we have a lot of different overlaps and a lot of different players on the stage from Warren County and whatnot as well. That I don't know that it's our role to try to take over all of that, but it's our role that we should have a contributor that ties to it. And if we do fund, if you as a council decide that you want to fund or channel some of those dollars, it might go to a unified person that's separate from ours.
That would be my concern or suggestion or whatever, is that if we do something like this, then find a way to, as you say, not take it over, but to at least contribute or support or, you know, work
To assist.
in partnership.
Yeah.
So what would that involve? We had a position, like budget.
And that's really, that's the next step that we would need to come back to you. We need to look at market studies as far as what it would cost to hire a position, when the best time frame would be, and likely roll it into a budget planning process rather than to try to spring it on Andy right now. Talking to him, that's for this meeting. I do that enough.
So who are the 9 people then that currently handle
So we have different people doing different things, from our IT staff to Cassandra, who does a lot of posts. We have Kathy out in recreation. We have Pat in police, and the library has, so lots of different people.
I guess I would recommend maybe talking to some, I know Pleasant Hill has a dedicated person that deals with their communications, because she was asking me about our magazine while I was doing some work in their city hall, and so I maybe check around with some of the others, see what they're doing, how they're doing it, what all the stuff they take care of. I guess I'm a firm believer in copycat, and when somebody does something good and then, twist it to make it right for you, type of a thing. So if there's others that are already doing something like this, I don't disagree that we need something.
John, that was one of the conversations. I don't know how many of you got a chance to read my notes from the league conference, but that very first one, the Towby Civil and then Civil Times, it really hammered home the fact that you need to have somebody that can actually take the council's procedures of how they want to see things happen and then translate that into a message that gets out to the people on a consistent, regular basis. And I thought that the people that put this on did an excellent job of talking about how important it is to have somebody that can be the person that collects a lot of these things, but yet has liaisons and people in the different departments, as you mentioned, to actually pull that together. And I could, I just sitting here thinking about different things. I talked to some of you folks about trying to maybe even get on the IMU television so we can go back to having a channel where we could actually run our council meetings on the channel. We could actually have the media person or the social, this person or people could actually put together little snippets about, what the city's doing next and have an interview with you or any of the council members or whatever the case would be. And actually, or the police chief or the park and rec or human resources or any of those kinds of things, and talk about those kinds of things. And I think there's a lot of opportunities there with that. But one of the comments that came across in that very first session I said on Wednesday was, you can set the tone for a lot of your meetings, a lot of how you want people to participate, how you want things done. If you've got somebody that can work through and carry the council policies through a social media program.
It's funny, we were just literally having the same conversation today at work about communications, and I just have 4 things that I have been thinking. And one, I want to say first, kudos to the staff right now, because even though we're saying there's problems, all in all, communications are out there and they're good, and it is nobody's designated job. So yet there is information available. I do think there is a missing piece in the storytelling for sure. But when we were talking about communications and how we share information, people are looking for probably 3 different things. They're looking for information, they're looking for updates or how they can find out about whatever is going on. But then everybody always wants the feel good stuff. And the feel good stuff is oftentimes the hard part as far as getting the content that's necessary to get out that we need to share. And I think, not to sound like very Pollyanna and like world peace, but it really is all of our job. Like, the storytelling really needs to come from us. To add to what you said, in our storytelling of our meetings when we're out and about, if you are on Facebook, share the message of the good things that are going on. If we do get a staff person, I don't think that that's going to solve all the problems. As you said, because there are companies that have big marketing teams that still struggle with communication. And but I think we need to look at us first and then figure out how we can interwork intentionally, effectively, positively, and then see what we can do to help support the staff.
Would this be a full-time position?
Yes. It may
I'd
be
say
a
it's
flexible
more.
position. They
Yeah.
may have things that they're interacting at night and whatnot, so they might potentially be at home position where they are in the office and attending certain meetings, certain times, or certain council meetings and whatnot, and have flexibility as well. I love the fact that you just shared a story, the thought of a story. I went to a league conference not too long ago, and they were talking about communications. And they shared a post that was made, and it was brief, probably briefer than I'm gonna share right now. But basically started off with a council member who went outside and saw a public works employee in the sewer treatment, their sewer. It said, "Hey, I just noticed Jose is outside." And I was wondering what Jose is doing. So she's taking a picture of Jose with his truck and whatnot. He's spraying down in the manhole, and Jose is down there. And she took a picture, and hey, Jose pulled out this diaper out of the thing. And but you were kind of tied in. You were intrigued because you were learning about, as she was learning
Right.
about what was going on, and she was sharing the story, and she was actually showing the manhole, and she actually showed the diaper. Hey, wouldn't it be great if we all make Jose's life a little easier and not flush our diapers down? And it was said in such a way that
Yeah.
the city could have said, "Don't put your diapers down,
Right.
you idiot, we don't want that."
You know, help Jose.
But instead, it made it personal. It tied it to a person, and we all want to help Jose. And it was a really well written story, and it was just a council member who took the time to put that together. And it's the unique way of pulling people in.
I think if we could find somebody that's creative in that aspect, because if you remember when the streetscape stuff kind of first started, there was that, one of the restaurants up there, rather than, create a whole like negative post, she created this
Mhm.
Oh,
funny
yes.
TikTok video.
Yeah.
Savor the rise.
Yes, and
Yes.
people loved it, and it brought so much business into her, and
Right.
things like that, that get people off of the negative
Right.
perspective of everything, and, bring some humor, some light to it. I think if we could find somebody that was great at that, I probably couldn't go wrong.
I also think there's opportunities for us to tie in with the college that can provide some of this content, not only from the journalism aspects of it or the public safety aspects of it, but also the drama
I was
department.
gonna say the drama department.
Yeah.
They can help put videos together and whatnot, and get class credit for it, and have opportunities where they can get a letter of recommendation that they did a project for the city.
Even the high school
High school
has,
is their own.
when I was in high school, we had an improv
Oh,
team,
that's right.
that I was on. Stuff like that was great, anything that gave kids experience, so.
The last thing that might be of benefit in this type of a enhancement of our communications is a "What do you love about Indianola" campaign.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And this is something that I did in my last community, and it was based on a video that I have embedded, but we don't have time to watch, by Peter Kagiyama, and I'll send it to you. It's a great video talking about For the Love of Cities. He wrote a book, For the Love of Cities, and why people love their cities. And it doesn't have to be expensive. He talks about, you can fix potholes all day long, and that's great. It makes people just not hate you so much, but it really doesn't help you to explain why you stay where you're part of that community. And just the small and simple things that cities can do to enhance that. And so one of the things that I had done in the past is we had a photo contest. If somebody wanted to submit a photo, they could. They gave up all rights to their photo, but they are submitted, and then the best photo of that month was given a $50 gift card for a business within the community, or $50 off the utility bill. Ours was a little unique with IMU. And then at the end of the year, the top 12 got the council chose from the top 12 to have a picture of the year, and they got $500 in gift cards and all that kind of thing, which is pretty cheap for the number of photos, high quality photos that we got as content that could be used in all of our publications and website and whatnot. And they're pictures of people, by people in the community, of why they love it.
I gave the mayor some information on something very similar, that some city did a project like that, but they asked the kids in the elementary schools to paint a picture or tell a story about what they would do if they were mayor for the day. And it was classic, especially young elementary kids. They were classic, but all of the parents, the mayor of that particular community, they picked the top 15 or 20 or something like that, and the parents were loving it. So, I mean, just ways to make your community, more involved and show that we're people too. So.
Well, they say if people love their community, they'll cut it slack for things that, no community is perfect. Every community has potholes. You know what I mean? But you'll cut your community slack if you love your community. And that's what we really want to instill in our community. Any other feedback or thoughts before?
I think that's great. I think we are actually with the league, it's an 8th grade now. It's if I was mayor. So working with the school districts to have that done. Might not get as fun responses, but
You never know.
might get some really good ideas actually. So yeah.
Did
That's
you get your
great.
direction?
I think so.
Okay.
What we'll try to do is put a plan, a job description together, and we will get some cost estimates and try to roll that into the budget planning process so that we have a staged approach that's financially viable. How's that? Got my conscience over my left shoulder here.
Right. So moving on, is there any questions on anything on the agenda? And it's probably a good time, right, Ben, so we can just kind of keep things speedy, right, and efficient during the meeting.
Yeah, if there's anything that you wanted to bring up in advance, any issues, otherwise I'll try to make it as succinct and
Well, the only thing I ask is we're going to pull item J simply from the fact that I don't think that we should be putting first readings of changes in whatever we're going to do, ordinances or whatever the case is.
Well,
And
that's
I
what I
cons-
was gonna ask about too. is just
Consent agenda, yeah.
Clarification on that, and I guess I don't necessarily have to go about that, but I just wanted to clarify, make sure that everybody understands.
The state had just made changes to alcohol beverage control, and so just keeping our code line.
Right, but I don't, I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, so it doesn't pertain to the discussion we had earlier about special permits for events and things like that.
Now, our codifier every year gives us a list of state code changes that might affect our codes. The fireworks sales is also one of those. that we have that, like,
And I don't have, like I said, I don't have, not against it or anything, I just want to make sure that we have an opportunity for folks to, and we generally don't, but you never know, and I want to give everybody the opportunity, so anytime we have first consideration of an ordinance making a change or something, I just don't think it's right to put it on a consent agenda.
But they do have an opportunity, though. I mean, I guess the whole idea of a consent agenda is to speed the process along, though. You know, I mean, and I just, we're already now doing an hour-long meeting before an hour-long meeting that in the past, we used to do it about 20 minutes. So that's my frustration there. So and that's why we do these things with the consent agenda. So.
But I
I
just
don't
think-
mind putting it on consent agenda, I just wanted to clarify. The other comment that I wanted to make is on the street closings. I think it's wonderful to have the swear, but I'm just not sure. The feedback that I get from business owners is sometimes they're frustrated by the street closings. It is really bringing shoppers and it's bringing activity, but, just
I think you're
share.
gonna have a
thoughts.
group here at 7 o'clock that will do public comment. During public comment talk, we'll talk about the advantages of street closures and the businesses that have actually benefited greatly from that. That's what I was told this morning.
Is it the data from the RVTV? They
Yeah.
usually try to do that of like
Right.
sales and how it was impacted. So, well, good, all right.
I just think there's disagreement on it.
Sure, there is.
You know.
Yeah, there is.
And Mayor, if I could have one more minute. real
Yeah,
quick.
you can have as many minutes as you want.
Could I-
No, we got
We're almost, we got 1 minute till our break, but I can have Jason Holder come up, right, he's right there. So I want to introduce to you Jason Holder. All right, have Money come up to the mic really quick. So Jason is our new IT director.
The mic.
Hi,
nice to meet everyone.
Nice to meet you.
Yes.
I'm gonna kind of read a little bit from an email that he had on his bio, and then I'll let you introduce
Okay.
yourself. He and his wife have lived in Iowa for the past 23 years, where he's worked for the Iowa Department of Corrections as a systems administrator, IT manager, and IT project manager. Before coming to Iowa, he was with the U.S. Air Force for 10 years as a ground radar repair technician and eventually networking and computers. He's very excited to be part of the team.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Yeah, thank you. Yes, I'm very excited to be part of the team. I'm really excited about Indianola. Like Ben said, not a native of Iowa, neither is my wife. We both our states start with W's, not I's. So, but different W's. So we're really excited. It's really excited to be part of this team and to help make the vision. I'll do my part with IT and things like that to make your guys' vision come true. And I'm just really think this is a great opportunity for Indianola, great opportunity for me to be a part of it. So thank you.
Yeah.
We're
Welcome.
excited to have you.
Thanks.
Welcome.
Nice to meet you.
Got a whole list of projects he's already given me. of
Yeah.
what he wants to accomplish. He's been doing great.
We'll become really good friends. I'm really bad with IT. Usually my fault. So, all right. So we will take a 15-minute break and then come back at 7 p.m. for our regular scheduled meeting. Thank you. I now call the October 3rd, 2022 City of Indianola City Council meeting to order. Rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Jackie, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Hewlin,
Here.
Parker,
Present.
Dalby,
Here.
Schroeder, Beach, here, Richardson,
Present.
Mayor Erickson.
Present. All right, moving on. Indianola Police Department items. We will start with our oath of office with Police Chief Brian Shear. Also, there is, after this, I'm sure all of you want to stay for the whole meeting, but there is a reception upstairs, cookies and some other things. Chips and salsa. We don't get it apparently.
We can help out.
I will have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Brian Shear,
I, Brian Scher,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and the Constitution of the State of Iowa,
and that I will faithfully
and that I will faithfully
and impartially,
and impartially,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
discharge all the duties
discharge all the duties
of Police Chief
of
of
the
the
Police Chief
City of Indianola,
of Police Chief of the City of Indianola,
Iowa,
Iowa,
as now or hereafter
as now or hereafter
required by law.
required by law.
Like the meeting now? Are they gonna go and have a reception?
I got it. Mayor, can I just have a couple minutes?
You can have as many minutes as you
Well,
want.
I will read fast, I promise. Mayor and council, I want to thank you for your unwavering support of the Indianola Police Department. We have had a lot of asks of you over the past 15 months. Body cameras, canine program, etc. And I've always felt that you have done your due diligence and asked the questions that needed asked and have made informed decisions. And for that, I thank you. I'm looking forward to being able to continue to work with all of you at this level. And please continue to reach out with me with any questions or concerns you may have. You all have my number, use it. Ben, thank you for entrusting me and having the faith in me to move this department into the future. I look forward to working with you on so many upcoming projects. It's an exciting time. Department heads, thank you for your support over the last 15 months on many projects we have worked on together. I hope AP is listening because I have something for him. There's not been a day that has gone by that I have not spoken to at least one of you. From issues in the parks to snow ordinance or traffic control devices, from civil issues in planning and zoning or fire investigations, we've really done this together, and that will continue together. Thank you, guys. To the citizens of Indianola, you can expect the same great service this police department has always provided you. Part of our motto is protect and serve. You can expect our service to expand in the upcoming future, including our nonprofit IPD Cop. This morning, I've authorized School Resource Officer Jay Hackett to expand the number of citizens that will be helped this fall with programs such as Elves in Blue, Christmas meals, and Thanksgiving meals. Page 1. To my police sergeants, over my time as interim chief, you've seen what it's like to be part of an inclusive team. This will not change. We have lots of important decisions upcoming to make. Scott Dwyer, Rick Largess, and Justin Keller, Thank you for your time and input you have given not only me, but the citizens of Indianola. Rob Hawkins, the yin to my yang, and yes, the Spock to my Kirk. Sorry, I had to. You've done such an excellent job as your role as lieutenant and interim captain. Fortunately, we share the same philosophies, and that has been apparent to the police department. Thank you for taking the extra duties on over the last 15 months and helping this place run so smoothly. Thank you. Pat Alsop, told you I was gonna. I'll make this short and sweet. Last administrative assistance day, I wrote one line in a card to you. I'm not going to tell people what I wrote, but it holds true then, even more so now. If you don't remember, see me after class. To my family in blue and my clerical staff, please don't forget, I am one of you. I've held every job in this department, so no matter what your role is currently, I understand your frustrations, I understand your successes, and I understand your challenges. I will do everything possible to continue to get you the tools and training you need to be successful. As I have stated before, the goal is to make the Indianola Police Department a destination instead of a training ground for other departments. My door is always open. Some of you have taken advantage of the new couch already. Your input is vital to the future successes of this department. Our successes and service level are only limited by our collective imaginations. My kids, only 2 of them made it tonight. One's sleeping and one's ill, so be it. You've probably noticed that sometimes I am physically home, but not always mentally home. Always on the phone, always answering emails. This is more for my 7-year-old who's not here, because he likes to play on the phone, and if I have it, he can't play on it. If there's one lesson I can share with you, is this: do what you do, be who you are. But always give 100%. It's easier in the mirror. But always give 100% to whatever you do. No matter if it's a master's degree in computer engineering, wow, playing baseball, drum corps, or wanting to be an astronaut and land on the moon, that's your goal, be all in. Well, I saved the best for last. My wife, Susie, who I'm not going to look at right now. You remember over the last 18 years, all those events I missed due to work? It just got worse. All I can say is thank you for everything. You being a former police officer, you know how this goes. There should be no surprises. You are my rock. I love you. Lastly, my in-laws who are here, they told me the corn crop looks great this year. They farm. And my father-in-law's motto is nice guy, big hearted. So he would like to invite all of you out to dinner after this on his day. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Chief. We're very excited. All right, we will move on. I need a first and second motion on a resolution approving the purchase of flooring and chairs.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Ben, would you like to fill us in on what this is?
Through my opportunity to ride along with all the officers, I just wanted to thank them for their time and getting to know them and having their input on this great decision that was made tonight. And one of the things that came up was the need for a place where they can throw each other on the ground and not get rug burns, and a place where they can sit down and have their utility belts actually fit in the chairs. And so that's this item that's on the agenda before you.
All right, any questions? Okay, Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Motion approved, 6-0. I need a first and second motion on a resolution modifying the union policy for the Indianola Police Department leadership.
So moved as read.
Second.
Thank you. Ben, you want to give us an update on this one?
You bet. Again, knowing that there's a trickle-down effect with this decision and that there will be positions opened up, we want the best of the best to apply for the positions that will be open. And we don't want to have anything that would prohibit or inhibit you from putting in. And so we've put before the council some items for their consideration. One of those being uniform policy, so that they have the exact same policy for the leadership as they do for the members of the department. So there's nothing that would hold you back from applying.
Any questions? Jackie?
Councilmember Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Hewlin.
Aye.
Motion passed 6-0, and I need a first and second motion on a resolution modifying the sick leave policy for the Indianola Police Department leadership to be consistent with union officers. Thank you. All right.
Again, we want to have nothing that would inhibit you from putting in, and so this makes consistent the sick leave payout for the senior leadership as enjoyed by the union officers. And also on the agenda in a few minutes in the consent agenda are 2 other police department items that would be considered as well. So we wanted to give the opportunity for the council to express their appreciation and support of our public safety officers through these actions tonight.
Great. Any discussion? Questions?
Can we talk about the budgetary impacts to that one then?
Sure. That would basically, with the senior leadership that we have today, would be a $56,000 budgetary impact. That would not take place immediately, but would be staged as people hit their years of service. We do have funding that was not expended with the opening in the city manager's position that was not filled, that could fully fund that and set that aside in the liability account. So that entire 56,000 could be covered and set aside and be available without impacting operational budgets this year or going forward.
I do have some concerns about the precedent that sets for the other city workers. Police getting enough work where, maybe fire doesn't and so on and so forth. So
It really does create a challenge, and there is a trickle down effect if the council did share that with other departments. It is a challenge, and it's always difficult to try to treat people equally and fairly for the positions for which they are serving our community. Of course, that decision really took place at the approval of the last union contract, which opened that door. Yes, this does perpetuate that, but it does make it consistent, at least within the department. So,
Do we have any other union departments that have this payout? Or is this just specifically something we're seeing in public safety?
just in the police.
Okay.
We do have other unions that don't enjoy it currently, but this is just in the police department.
Any other questions? All right, Jackie?
Councilmember Beach,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
no.
Schroeder.
Great, motion passed 5-1. We will now move on into the public comment section. If you would like to speak this evening, you can come to the microphone and introduce yourself and give us your name and address. And I'll allow you all to go to your reception. Have fun. Thank you all for being here. Thanks, Susie. Congratulations.
Fun way to start.
After you speak, you can just go on up to the reception.
There you go.
Open for
Chips and
everybody,
salsa.
so
There's nothing wrong with that.
where's the chips and salsa from though? That's the real question.
Ivy,
All right.
the fresh kind.
Yeah, fresh. So even better. All right.
Ready?
Yep. Hi, Leslie.
Hi. I think I'm supposed to say my address, 1006 South R, Leslie Held. I have to admit, I'm feeling a little bit like Kevin Bacon tonight in Footloose when he addresses the town council. But tonight, I want to talk about events on the square. I represent the Indianola Downtown Merchants, Our membership includes anyone doing business on the square in the artilleries, and we've been joined by a couple of businesses off the square. We're a legal, self-sustaining nonprofit organization. Our mission statement is very similar to the one behind me. I think it's still there. Ours is to provide a vibrant shopping and dining district that attracts both local and non-local patrons with businesses who experience profit and to become a sought-after location for new growth. We meet every other week, alternating evenings and mornings, and we send our minutes to 87 recipients. We focus on matters that are affecting the square, on becoming a destination, on opportunities for growth, and hosting events. In 2022, we will host 6 events, including Girls' Night Out, Ridiculous Days, the Sky Parade, RVTV, Wine Witches and Brews, and Home for the Holidays. Additionally, we also support the Children's Costume Party, Black Friday, and Shop Small Saturday. Only 3 of those annual events incur street closure requests, which are necessary because of the activities they incur: Ridiculous Days, the Children's Costume Party, and Home for the Holidays. This year, the Sky Parade did close 1 block for a band that was hosted by those particular merchants. We encourage you to Google the effect of local economy on the effect of local events on the economy. You'll find numerous articles that conclude the same. Events can be a great way to bring a cash injection from out-of-town visitors, raise the profile of an area or businesses, or simply bring a community closer together. This was echoed in presentations heard at last month's Iowa Downtown Conference in Pella, which was attended by our representatives and the Indianola Chamber. More importantly, square events are producing record sales. For example, Krause's, Ridiculous Days, On the Rocks, RVTV, Roots, Wine Witches and Brews. There are people in our community who like to speak on our behalf, often on social media. So we would like to set this record straight. We are confident the city is not trying to put us out of business. We're grateful for the investment that you've made in our downtown district, which provides us with a safe infrastructure and the aesthetics that we need to become a destination. There is a direct correlation between new people and business growth for those who choose to tap into events. Not every event directly affects every business. But when we support each other and our neighboring businesses succeed, we become stronger as a whole. As we look forward to the final street reopening, we circle back to Kevin Bacon, but we put our own twist on the Ecclesiastes verse that he quoted. There was a time to plan, a time to study, a time to vote, and even a time for feedback. But now it's time to come together, to lay the negativity and the divisiveness to rest, to gather and celebrate, where Indianola has celebrated for 170 years, not in our school parking lots, but on the square, the place that we purposely designed as a place to gather. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Olivia.
Is there anyone else who would like to speak? Okay. Move on to the consent agenda. Are there any items that need to be pulled?
Item J, please.
All right. Can I get a first and second motion approving everything with the exception of item J? Somebody? Second. All right, any discussion? Any highlights or anything? Nope. Okay. Jackie?
Councilmember Richardson.
Aye.
Hewland.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Peach.
Aye.
Right, I need a first and second motion to approve item J, which is the first consideration of ordinance amending the code of ordinances of the city of Indianola, Iowa by amending provisions pertaining to alcoholic beverage control.
So move as read.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. All right. You want to give us a little update, Ben or Jackie?
This is just to bring our city code in conformance with this code of the state of Iowa.
What changed?
I'd have to get back to you on that.
Oh, okay. We have Rick here. Maybe she should have stayed for an extra 5 minutes or. Yeah.
All right. Jackie, would you call the roll?
Councilmember Hewland.
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Dalby.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Peach.
Aye.
Richardson.
All right, we'll move on to council reports. I need a first and second motion to receive and file the August 22, 2021 2022 EMS billing activity report.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion?
Looks like it's staying pretty even, 220s, 230s for call outs on a monthly basis.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. All right. We'll move on to the Iowa League of Cities Annual Convention Report with Councilmember Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor. In front of you, I had Jackie print off a couple of items for you as well. The first thing I think is on that packet is the notes that were distributed as part of the presentation of item number 6. I won't, excuse me, go into a lot of detail on that. I did include also the folks that are on the board, excuse me, of the league, simply because they have some issues that there's two-sided. One gives you the issues and policy issues on the one side, and the other side are the members of part of that league board. And if we have some concerns or we want to get some support on different issues, there's some people that talk with as well. I do want to point out on that sheet, the local control, financial stability, economic development, infrastructure, and public safety are their key topics. And I want to highlight greatly that there's some concern that if state budget doesn't fall into place here in the next 18 months or so, that the discussion from a number of people at the league was concerned that they may try to look at using lost funds to bring in some money into the state, because a lot of the money that is currently available, I guess would be a way to put it, is going to go to the tax breaks that they passed in this last session. And so if there's a shortfall, they'll be looking for revenue, and there's concern that they may start looking into the lost funds. My recommendation down the road would be, and I've talked to a number of you about this as well, is that we do need to maybe have our state legislators in here once the election is completed to talk about that, to make sure that they understand that we really don't want them messing with local control on our lost funds. So I did send each of you as well. I think the vendors, I gave you the copy of the agenda. I was able to go, I think, 6 meetings. I think I went to, I would highly recommend that we send a few folks next year, simply from the fact that there were a lot of clerks, mayors, city council members, staff. There were various different people from different cities on the staff. There's some folks from Bendorf Police Department. I met some folks from some of the economic development teams in some of the cities. But I think that we need to make sure that we have a pretty good presence there, because there's a lot of good things. Maybe if you look at that schedule, there's a lot of good things on there. Just a brief rundown, about 500 attendees. Clerks and finance officers can get IMFAO credit for each of the seminars attended, if that's an issue as well. The how to be civil in uncivil times. Again, we just talked about that, so I won't get into a lot of that, but the social media thing was, and having a person for contact in the community that would be able to provide information and good information based on council policies and get that out to the folks in the city was a big factor as well. And then the question, do we have a social media policy, and a number of other factors there as well. League business meeting, I was able to vote because obviously I was the only one there. So we chose a new president, John Hala from Ames as the new league president. And again, we highlighted those economic development, sold local controls, infrastructure, public policy issues were all part of the discussion at that meeting. Mike Mahoney, who we've seen here many times, did a session on providing public funds to private entities. I did highlight and underline in the email I sent to you some of the critical things, especially the 2021 state auditor issuing some information on best practice regarding public funds to nonprofits and to other organizations or private entities. I put nonprofits in there, but it should be to anyone. Basically, they had 6 items that we need to follow. And the state auditor wants to see that contract language as to why the expenditure is a public purpose. Agreements in writing, we do that generally. Clearly and plainly detail the terms and conditions about further public purpose. Spell out terms of funding, where the funds come from, and the payment schedule. State what government receives in return for payment. Require private entity to do a report to government entity providing the funds contract. And so we've done that a lot, like this chamber, for instance, and other groups that we've given money to. They do actually have regular reports, and then all parties sign the agreement, but it needs to be clearly stated in the motions and resolutions as well. think, I'll just leave the other stuff on that. The cybersecurity presented by VC3 was session 4 I attended. Question, a lot of it was on whether or not you get hacked, do you pay a ransom? The answer is no, because generally you don't get the information back anyway. Maybe 30, you get 80% of it, but it's all probably going to be compromised. 80% of those pay get hit again, and so there's a lot of things that we have. One of the big things that they suggested and talked about was making sure that we have a multiple entry to get into our systems, especially on mobile devices, that we do a two-factor authentication. I don't know about you, but if I go on to my healthcare facility, I have to do a thing and they send me an email off to my phone or email to me that gives me a code that I have to enter. That two-factor authentication is really, really important, they feel, to make sure that your city emails and your city system is secure. Talked about cyber insurance and some of the things that go along with that, and the dark web monitoring is also probably a pretty good idea, so you can see maybe what's been compromised and what's not been compromised out there. The last session that I'll talk about here in a minute is the session presented by the Bettendorf Police Department on making sure you have safe spaces for officials and staff. I know as we design a new facility, we really need to do that. They have a couple of places they can send people if there's an active shooter come in where they can go and to be in safe areas. They do at least one drill a year, and they have a plan for protecting staff, council, and participants. So having a plan is critical. Last one, I'll leave it to you, but again, I just want to highlight and reiterate a couple of points that I think are really important, and that is that we do send more folks to this. One thing too, I talked with a couple different people, and you have that information on here as well. Burlington has done a program called Self-Supported Municipal Improvement District. They're able to revitalize the downtown and the riverfront area. They have done it through a variety of means, but one of the things that was discussed too is whether or not we can actually TIF the city, the square area for people that want to renovate their businesses. And one of the things you can do is you create basically what the business owners would have to do is create vertical infrastructure or vertical separation between the units. So the retail space would be one unit, rental unit, and any rental units above could be separate spaces. You have to have a minimum of 3, and you can TIF that area, and you can provide additional funds for those folks that maybe wouldn't have the incentive to do that in the future. And so we talked about how to give things to the city square folks that give them some incentives to update some things, and that might be one thing to look at. But I would suggest that maybe Charlie and staff get Chad Bird, city manager of Burlington, to walk through that. Mayor Waukee had a long discussion with her about police and social workers. They have 2 police officers, 2 social workers that work in tandem. One of the things that came out of a meeting with Sue Wilson, I don't think she's still here, a week or so ago, was that, and some of the people in that meeting suggested that a way to make it faster for people to actually get services is to have a social worker with the police department. And when they show up, that the social worker will also been able to do an evaluation, whether it's mental health or other kinds of factors. Usually what happens is the police refer them to social workers. That takes time for them to set up an appointment to do something. This speeds along that process. And so Waukee is now moving into that area. And again, that's something that maybe we want to kind of take a look at. So with that, I'm going to stop talking. So any questions, we'll be glad to answer.
For Steve. Thank you for going, Steve.
Yeah.
Uh,
Learned a lot, so it was good.
Yeah, I definitely think next year we'll get some more to go. All right, we'll move on to item number 8, the mayor's report. Starting with Steve and I were both at the last merchants meeting. We were discussing the homeless population and again, some ideas. We followed that, Steve and I and Ben, with a housing task force meeting with Sue Wilson, as well as Melissa O'Neill, the CEO of Central Iowa Shelters and Services, identifying what services we can take care of here in Warren County and what we need to ship to Polk County based off of what we have for services, and then discussed a number of grants to help out. Moving on to Mayor's Youth Council. Mayor's Youth Council interviewed and selected 1 senior to fill in a vacancy, and then we upped it to 6 freshmen this year. Typically, we only take 5, But all 6 of these freshmen were great individuals, and we're excited to have them on board. So our senior is Ray Anderson, and then our freshman that we are bringing on, Gabe Gibson, Thomas Barjo, Caitlin Bonas, Lydia Molstat, Morgan Marchant, and Olivia Meacham. So welcome aboard. We also, with the help of Sheena and the Broder family, were able to throw together a kind of last minute Go Gold event at the home volleyball game. We passed out over 300 gold ribbons, and then we raised $350, which I'm gonna reach out to you about a check presentation. And we'll present that back to Blaine Children's Hospital to their Child Life Services. And then we also, Sheena met with Sheena and the Merchants Group because Mayor's Youth Council will be teaming up and doing an event this year during the Home for the Holidays event, which will include photos with Santa, writing letters to Santas, and then responses from Santa's elves. Also Harvest Blooms this Saturday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at Buxton Park. Bring your own shears, pruners, and containers with water. And then lastly, Doug Byland is still here. So congratulations to Doug Byland. He was presented the Paul Harris Award from the Rotary, which is the highest award that you could be presented in Rotary. So congratulations, Doug. Very thankful to have you in charge of our Parks and Rec, Doug. So thank you. That is all I have. We'll move on to public consideration. Old business fiscal year 23 budget. We had a public hearing regarding an amendment to the fiscal year 23 budget that was canceled. So moving on to item B, I need a first and second motion on a resolution setting a hearing date for October 17th, 2022 at 7 p.m. for the second amendment to the Indianola fiscal year 2023 budget.
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. And Andy.
And yeah, I have the clicker here. If you want to move that. I do have the clicker. in.
Mayor, members of council, we did have a public hearing set for tonight, but when I put out the public notice, I had put 6 p.m. and of course, guess went to do the study session before the regular council meeting. So we not going to have the public hearing tonight. We're going to have the public hearing next Monday night. So that's what the resolution is, to set the public hearing for next Monday night. A number of things that are on the amendment. I don't think I'll go through the whole list here, but a lot of the things are either moving some projects from FY22 to FY23, like the lighting and the boiler for the library. There's no major price increases, where there are a few added things. The warning sirens it's covered by the FEMA grant. We did have City Hall offices in there, 50,000. I believe Ben had talked to you before about I'm doing some remodeling in my office, my new office, and then also for the IT offices that we're trying to create, so that we create some more room up with the firefighters. And then also the mat for the training room, you already passed a resolution for that. And for the wastewater treatment plant, the $5 million for that, there's no increase in the price right now for the wastewater plant fight. We're underneath the contract for that. We're just, because we had a lot more in the authorization for the account for the spending in FY22, but it has been delayed. We are moving some of that authorization over to FY23. So, have any questions on any of that?
Is the repair on the roof, was that over at the white building?
Yeah, that's the white building.
Yeah.
There was there's some holes and
Yeah.
some of the rain was draining onto the
Right.
equipment inside, running equipment. So we had to make sure we got that roof
Sure.
repaired.
No problem.
Questions for
More
Andy?
questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
No
All
problem.
right, Jackie.
Councilmember Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Speech. Aye. Richardson.
Aye.
We'll move on to the general obligation capital loan notes, series 2022, industrial park infrastructure improvement. Need a first and second motion on a resolution appointing paying agent, note registrar, and transfer agent approving the paying agent and the note registrar and transfer agent agreement and authorizing the execution of the agreement.
So moved as read.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. And discussion.
Andy, is the first 5 years, is that like an interest only loan, basically?
We are capitalizing the interest on the first year or two. I think there is 2 years that we're capitalizing on the interest on that.
Okay.
I'm not sure what the schedule is, right? I don't have it right in front of me, so I can't say that, but I do believe we have some capitalized interest there. Just so that we're not paying any principal, we're making sure that we're collecting some of the TIF that's going to be repaying those loans. So some of the interest is capitalized at the beginning.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions on the other stuff? This is mainly to finalize the loan agreement and then also to authorize some of those things like the paying agent where we have the Bank of Oklahoma Financial. They're a paying agent. They withdraw the funds from the checking account, make sure that our payments are done on time and everything. So.
All right, any other questions? Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder,
Aye.
Beach. Aye. Richardson.
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
I need a first and second motion on a resolution approving and authorizing a form of loan agreement and authorizing and providing for issuance and levying a tax to pay the notes. Approval of the tax exemption certificate and continuing disclosure certificate.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion. Jackie?
Councilmember Beach.
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Hewlin,
Aye.
Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
All right, moving on to new business, I need a first and second motion for a resolution authorizing the city attorney to petition for title to abandon property at 701 West Boston Avenue.
So moved as read.
Second.
Good, Charlie.
Good evening. Just really quick summary on this. So what we have now titled the Real Property Improvement Fund, which was formerly the Dangerous and Dilapidated Building Fund, does allow the city to use funds to petition the court for title to a property in which a building has been abandoned for at least 6 months. 701 West Boston Avenue, some may recall, did have a structure fire back in last November 17th of 2021. At which point the structure was completely damaged or completely lost by the fire. It was determined by the building official to be an unsafe building. Since that time, state code does allow us to give the property owner, does require us to give property owner 6 months to get the structure demolished under the insurance. That did expire around June 1st, around that time. At that point, then the city issued a notice of violation to the property owner. We did not get any response, and since that time, I think our attorney has also sent some paperwork over to the property owner, and we have still yet to get a response. So based off my recommendation, I'm asking the council direct the attorney to start the process of getting a title to this property through the courts, because we do consider it to be abandoned, and we've had no resolve to any of the issues that we've had on that property. So in an effort to try to get this cleaned up, we just wanted to see if we can get possession of it and move that process forward. And so the council is aware. Our policy also does state that if we do get possession of it, we are to immediately put it on the market for sale, which we would do the second we did get that. So
Have we had any communication from the property owner at all?
I know that I think the fire department has had communication since the fire. We've attempted to reach out to this person a few times, have had no response. And again, we've sent a few letters through court, through our office, and have had no response either.
Neighbor complaints.
Yes, lots of neighbor complaints. That's
So the surviving individual, he's out of the hospital, or do we know that
yes, I believe so.
not in like the care of,
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know for sure, but from what I was told, yes.
So Charlie, the process then is that we actually start the process and serve them, and then they still have a chance
Yes.
to
Yep.
to go through and make it right.
Yes.
Okay, before we actually go through.
Yeah, there's a whole process to go through the courts to try to get title. Obviously, the property owner is then informed of that as well too, so they have
How
a
long
chance
does
to.
that take? It could take up to a
You know what, we attempted to do it on a property on Salem and we did not, that was not successful on our part because there was a lien from a nursing home somewhere up in Northwest Iowa that took precedence over our claim on it. But, and Doug, you may know this, I would imagine probably somewhere in the time frame of 6 months.
It could take, I mean, it could be really quick. If they don't respond, they've
Yeah.
got 20 days after they're served, they answer, and then 10 days, we can file. Usually they go to default at this point. If that happens, it'll be 45 days probably. If they would contest it, then it would probably drag on just 6 months.
Does the homeowner own or have the title or is the mortgage company?
I don't think there's
know that
mortgage
either.
on this one.
Yeah, and my guess is there's probably not, yeah. But those are things that, you know, again, if we get the authorization here, we'll start researching some of that stuff as well too and get to that point.
And
so.
also that would take care of the mortgage. We jump ahead because the statute gives the city the opportunity to jump ahead of the mortgage. Because that's the problem with nuisances is you keep giving them nuisance and you find them and that goes on the, you know, that attaches to the property, but you got a mortgage in it, so you can't do anything with it. So this process allows us to jump. Now, the bank, if there was a bank, they could come in and they could do it all and we'd be glad about that too, but
Yeah.
this gives the city the opportunity to get it pretty clear.
And just to note too, and I did put this on the slide here too, that we spent about $500 on property maintenance abatements on this property through the summer too. So again, another notification that was sent to the property owner. These ones simply mow your grass and we were not getting that response either.
And I think the neighbor was pretty patient about it,
Mhm.
but pretty frustrated.
So yeah, we just think this is the best solution at this point to this individual property. And again, once, I should say, if we get possession of it, I think at that point we would determine if it would be best for the city to go and demolish the house or if we could essentially flip it pretty fast to somebody else who would then go in and demolish the house. So
And nobody is living there.
No.
Are we positive
should
of
not
that?
be living there.
No squatters.
Yes. I don't know on that. That does happen from time to time, but nobody should be in there. It is posted as a dangerous building. So, and things like that. The other thing I will say is when that starts to happen, we typically hear about that pretty fast. And with this neighborhood, I would think we would too. So
Yeah, let us know.
Thanks, Charlie.
all right, thank you.
Jackie?
Councilmember Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Beach,
Aye.
Richardson,
Aye.
Hewland,
Aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Great. Moving on, I need a first and second motion on a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute a subaward agreement contract by between Indianola Hometown Pride, the city of Indianola, Iowa, and Warren County, Iowa.
So moved as read.
Thank you. Discussion.
Is this the one that it's the research? No, okay, never mind. Hometown pipe. Never mind.
This is, yep, ARPA funds. Doug, yeah, you wanna?
Oh, maybe this is the one. Is this the one that's the resurfacing of the parking lot? Okay.
Yeah, so as part of Hometown Pride's application, the county awarded $20,000 for resurfacing of that parking lot. Yeah,
The clicker's right here.
I'm gonna go the wrong way, aren't I? It's not very big, but those things, some screening, some fence cleanup, things like that to spruce up that area to make it more of a gathering space. And just like Steve was saying, the county wants to make sure that the money they're awarding is going to be spent the right way.
So is this strictly just for the $20,000 that we're talking about tonight?
Yep.
Okay, and are they just laying blacktop over the top of the
That's the
blacktop?
plan, and then paint, other dividers, other things that go in there to improve that area.
Is there talk of moving those county recycling
That
bins right
is
there?
completely on
Never know.
them. I don't want to say anything because I don't know that answer.
Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Mhm.
Jackie?
Councilmember Parker,
Aye.
Dalby,
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Beach. Aye. Richardson.
Aye.
Hewland.
Aye.
Right, move on to other business and city managers report from Ben.
I don't have a whole lot to report other than I wanted to thank the council for your support and allowing me to go to the International City Managers Association Conference in Columbus, Ohio. I did try to focus on 3 areas: economic development courses, new building construction in support of the new buildings that we're going to be entertaining here in the near future, as well as the homeless. And our good mayor already talked about meetings we've had with Sue Wilson and Melissa O'Neill. It's been good trying to learn about the services that we currently have, as well as the needs that need to be fulfilled. One of the other aspects beyond social workers going with police officers is being able to help train our building inspectors so that when they are out inspecting their rental units, that they can get the certification and qualifications to inspect it concurrently for HUD approval as well. And that can help in the situation of getting funding to landlords to be able to help in that situation as well. So that's great. I do want to thank all of our interims that have been in place for an extended period of time while we fill positions. My Lisa and Rob and Brian and Charlie for filling in and doing a great job there over the last 12 to 15 months. In the last week while I was out, I just want to thank Andy and Courtney and Deb and Jackie for helping to make all of these preparations possible for this evening. And then some of the questions with regard to the IT update. I've already received an email from our new IT director of two-factor authentication and a whole bunch of other things that are going to be implemented in short order. So we'll be in tip-top shape fairly soon.
All right, consideration of a request from the Brick House to allow for additional outdoor dining usage. Ben, would you like to?
Sure, this is an extension of the period of time. We have an agreement with them that's been around for many years. This just allows them to go later in the year because of good weather.
Before,
We did last year.
yeah,
Or a year before.
a year or two before that. So,
All right.
So move.
Second,
Perfect. So do we have to do a vote on this one or just
Not really. It's just
direction? So,
Okay.
so
Well,
I
I
didn't really need to
withdraw in a second. I'll withdraw my motion. So,
all right, so we are okay with allowing them to keep it there through October then?
Yes.
Expand their lease agreement. Okay.
Unless there's no-
Perfect. All right. I need a first and second motion to enter into closed session in accordance with Iowa Code, section 21.51J, to discuss the purchase or sale of particular real estate, only where premature disclosure could be reasonably expected to increase the price of the governmental body would have to pay for the property or reduce the price of the governmental body would receive for the property.
so, second.
Thank you, Jackie.
Councilmember Beach. Aye. Richardson.
Aye.
Hewland.
aye.
Parker.
Aye.
Dolby.
Aye.
Schroeder.
I gave you all.
All right.
So don't get too comfortable.